welcome to Creator Spotlight. We are here this week with AfewGoodTacos, who has made some awesome rooms like Taco Bayou, which is one of my favorite rooms in Rec Room, and the Taco Loft. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm AfewGoodTacos. In real life, my name is Brian. I'm 31 years old, and I work for a prominent technology company that you've probably all used before. I'm a UX designer, and I work in VR and AR. So this is my territory. This is where I like to play and build in.
Okay, what platform do you play on?
So primarily I play on the Vive, but I also have an Oculus, and I also have a Windows Media or Windows Mixed Reality headset.
Yeah, I suppose that comes with the territory working in VR. What sort of projects in Rec Room really inspire you? What kind of stuff do you like to work on?
Oh, well, I think rooms that kind of bring people together and kind of set an atmosphere or a mood or a tone, I think those really resonate with me. I think they really speak to a lot of what VR can offer to people, which is escapism, teleporting anywhere, being able to go to some place that you would not normally be able to go and experience something that maybe you might not be able to experience otherwise.
I know the first time I came into this room, it really transported me back to Disneyland for me because there was so much in here that reminded me of the Blue Bayou. It was so wonderful and so far removed from anything that I have in my day to day life.
That's kind of what I was going for. My wife is super into animation. I come from an animation background as well, so we're huge Disney fans. And one of my favorite movies is Princess and the Frog, which takes place in Louisiana in a bayou.
Right.
And having recently visited Disneyland, I was just kind of like reminded of all that whole aesthetic of New Orleans jazz and Riverside and big overhanging trees, crickets in the air, as you can hear. So I just wanted to kind of try and recreate that in this little personal space and then share it with everyone.
I do want to ask you about your process for designing your rooms, just because I think you're one of the people that put a lot more thought into it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I guess that also comes with my background, which is in user experience.
Right.
So it's trying to make an experience comfortable and accessible for a user in any form. Coming from an animation and an art background as well, I kind of start out with a general idea. I gather a lot of reference together. I kind of pour through it. I create a whole mood board, as we call it. We kind of align a lot of different images together that kind of speak to a certain aesthetic.
Hmm.
And then we use that to kind of start building upon a central idea. Most of the time, I'll usually try to block in things very quickly, kind of put down large shapes. Okay, this is going to be where sofas are going to be. This is a flow or a feeling of how I want people to go through. And then kind of a lot of refinement, a lot of fast iteration over time kind of leads to the results. Because, your first idea will never be the last idea that you have for a project.
Right.
So it's good to get something in really quickly and rough and dirty because you're going to be changing it. So don't spend a lot of time on it. And so that's how a lot of my rooms kind of go together is I sit down with an idea, a concept, I kind of gather resources or references, I kind of decide on the central idea, what I want to accomplish. Usually it's good to have a goal or something that you want to accomplish with a project. And I just start blocking it all out.
So I know you wanted to talk about some of the rooms that inspired you. So why don't we start with this place, which is the BMG Space Base?
Okay, so this is really important. So I've been on Rec Room for quite a while now, but I didn't really start building in Rec Room until I experienced this room. And I mean, as you can see, it's just the performance hall. But what was so important about this room was that they started building outside of the map. What was really awesome and very fourth wall breaking was that you had to phase through a wall in order to get to the real party that was happening. And that was a very inspiring moment for me. And I got to experience it as well. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And it started training everyone in Rec Room to start breaking through the walls for good or bad. It doesn't matter. What's important is that it set a precedence for how people started to think about building and building around the map and utilizing what AG had provided to build their own experiences.
So what would be some of your best tips for new creators?
I think the first one would be stairs. Stairs are something that you don't really think about. They're kind of an afterthought, but we have multiple ways to do locomotion in this game, from teleporting to walking to flying.
Hmm.
I would just say when you're building your stairs, think about, what's the fastest and easiest way to get up your stairs for someone teleporting, and then also someone for um, walking. If it's really boring or tedious for you to go up those stairs, then it's going to be 10 times as tedious and boring for a user who has no context for how hard you worked on the experience or what they're going through currently. So that
Right.
would be number one. Keep that in mind. The second one I would recommend is, going back to when I was talking about blocking out your experience.
Hmm.
Once you kind of get like a feel for, what how the room's going to be kind of set up, kind of blocked out everything, and you have the concept ready, I would recommend starting to do all your circuitry. And the reason I recommend that is because circuitry still takes up ink. Build kind of a rough idea of what you want, then really get into your circuitry, build up all your circuitry, and use as much ink as you need to for that. Because once you're done with it, you can turn it off and you get all of that ink back, and you can keep building your experience and really fine tune all the details of the physical properties of your creations.
Thanks so much to A Few Good Tacos for joining me this week. Be sure to like and subscribe below for more Rec Room content, and we'll see you next week on Creator Spotlight.